5 minutes in. So welcome to this week, another week of SIPCO. Hope you guys found it useful. So it's been 43 SIPCO so far already. Been doing it since last July. And every week I try to have a different topic. And we happen to have lots of new ideas on the table, such as from yourself, or like important SIPs, like those emergency ones too. Those are all proposals from anybody. Anybody can make proposals. Yeah, so let's get started. So Friday the 5th of May. Yeah, let's get started. So just to let everybody know what SIPs are, SIPs is essentially like a bid, and anybody can make a proposal to change a network or to upgrade or change a code, or even just governance related stuff. But it's just a documentation that specify what your spec is about, and it goes through the full sort of SIP process. But this course specifically is to sort of inform the community and advocate for your SIP and share the ideas, whether you have an early idea or whether your idea is very formed, sort of ranges. I think different SIP author like coming here at different stage, or just want some feedback. Or maybe you want to help others with your, want to help others form their ideas. So this is what the call is for. So the idea in sharing, getting community feedback, not just working in silos, so we can all be collaborative. So I always also sort of give a bit of update about what sort of stuff are on the table in the SIP world, if you like. We have Bitcoin MEV SIP, we have safe token transfer SIP, we have listing microstacks, trades related stuff. Those stuff, also some of the stuff going to be used for SBTC. So I'm sort of in discussion with Eager about what to do with some of the trades standards. And also there's like BNS stuff. There's wallet client API stuff, which I sent to Vlad, you guys, to have some extra resource. So those are sort of the early stage ideas, but things that are a little bit later stage, which we have now sort of at recommended stage or even activation in progress stage, because they've all been approved by the CABs. And in essence, the steering committee are the latest emergency forks. So SIP 22 proposed 2 hard forks, and SIP 23 was 1 hard fork to fix one of the bugs in SIP 22. If you want to know more information, please go to the Stacks forum, and you can find all the context about those bugs and the links to GitHubs. So I highly recommend, if you want to know about those critical bug fixes, and go to GitHub. But I just want to sort of point out that these hard forks didn't happen just by code developers sort of unilaterally pushing into the code. It went through the full SIP process, involved SIP editors. So anybody from a SIP editor committee can take a look at it and review it and sort of basically approve it. So there are 3 tiers of groups: SIP editors, CAB, consideration advisory boards. So all these people reviewed the SIPs, and the technical CAB and governance CAB was called to approve the SIP itself. So, but economics CAB also had an eyes over those 2 SIPs, and all the discussions were logged and submitted on GitHub, and you can read everybody's comments and how those discussions went and who voted for what, or maybe people abstain from voting. So yeah, so I just want to let everybody know that there is a process in place to that when these kind of things happen, they don't just unilaterally get pushed and they go through the full review. And then the final tier is the steering committee to make sure that everything was done correctly. And yeah, nothing funny in there. But yeah, essentially, thanks everybody who contributed, particularly Bryce and Jason was really amazing in sort of managing the group, their members, not managing, but sort of rallying them and getting the discussion going, and Jay Whiteley too. Also, thank you everybody who contributed to the discussion. So that's mainly it for what I wanted to say. So let's get into the topic of the smart contract wallet. So Vlad, do you want to share your screen or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Maybe you want to give a quick intro, because some people in this room might not know where you guys come from, or like who you are. So you might want to give a bit of intro about that. That'll be great. And then you can talk about what you want to advocate for.
Yeah, sure. So we're here with Vivian. We're both from the Signet team, and we're making probably the first, actually the first multi-sig, which is like fully powerful. So that's why we considered like different approaches to implement it. And I will explain both of them on this call. The first one is just a native approach, which like Stacks provides in terms of like multi-signature transactions. And the second way is the like real smart contract wallet. So I will also say like a few words about like our potential direction and yeah, what we want to build like on top of that. So yeah, and I will also like briefly introduce our product and just to explain like technical issues in more detail.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to screen share?
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Just 1 second, trying to remove this control panel. Yeah, so basically it's just first it's just a multi-sig wallet, also with the like separate stream payments functionality, also with the like utility functions like address book and stuff. So currently it's connected to a local environment, like local Stacks development network. So it will be like pretty fast. So we can create a safe. Save 23. We can add a new owner. So we can go to the hero wallet, save, copy, save. Yeah, so policy will be 2 as well. So we can create that. And currently it is a smart contract wallet, basically. So it is the first approach that I wanted to show you. So here's the new wallet. So for speeding up, I will show the already created one. So it already has like 25 million stacks. So what we currently have is just like tokens viewer for any token that we get on the balance, NFT Explorer, like transactions list, history, streaming payments directly integrated to this multi-sig wallet, as well as a separate approach on the separate tab. Owners. So currently it is possible to edit the confirmation threshold, also to modify the owners list. So we can add, we can remove them. Also, we get stacking optionality, and we get apps. So I'll briefly show some of the features. So we can also basically transaction nonce is 2 here. So I'm gonna replace that. So we can put 21 million and lock it for 6 cycles. So here we go. We get 2 transactions. We can open it in the second wallet. So it's multi-sig transactions. Okay, confirm it. Sign. And execute. So basically, we also implemented to the stacking feature, features from the BIX2 smart contract. So basically, it allows to add stacks to the current stacking position. It allows to extend the stacking lock cycles parameter, also change the recipient. But we are aware that currently it has issues, and that's why we were waiting with our proposals and not pushing them as hard as we could have been. Yeah, and also yeah, so basically you can see it in the history, and I can also show the application. So we can connect our multi-sig to the Arcadico application, swap, sign the transaction, and also it appears under this page, yes, as a queue transaction, because we got the previous one the same nonce. So the main complication that we stuck under this approach is the external calls thing. So I'll briefly explain what it is. So basically, we started explaining our ideas from this post on Stacks forum, and basically the smart contract wallet has a few complications on the smart contract level, on the language level actually. So the first complication is that in Clarity, we need to have a predefined interface for any possible contract for us to be able to call them from a smart contract wallet, from any smart contract actually. So that's why we need to accept this proposal, or we need to only integrate a few applications that support this approach. So basically, it's highly restricted. On one hand, we need to force application developers to make those interfaces to be able to integrate with the smart contract wallets. And on the other hand, we just won't be able to integrate with them, and we will be restricted in terms of our feature set. So basically, it's not probably the right approach for us, because we want to make something even bigger in terms of functionality as Gnosis. So basically, it's the second SAP proposal which we get. So it's a, I don't know, a copy of another EAP proposal for Ethereum. So basically, it's for validation of signatures, message signatures for smart contract wallets. So basically, it's the least of our problems probably. So this issue restricts this approach from being highly pushed from our side, and also this is the more, I don't know, gas demanding approach than the native one. So as we discussed on the previous SIP call a week ago with Marvin, we came to a decision that we will try to push our SAP proposals for the native approach to be able to make the most powerful multi-signature wallet. So basically, the native approach has a few really critical issues which block us from publishing. So the first problem is that it just It just does not allow to sign the transaction from any order. So basically, imagine that we want to sign the transaction from the second owner, and we sign it. After that, we push this transaction to the first owner. He signed it, and in the smart contract, basically not in the smart contract, but on the under the like network level, the verification procedure goes as follows. So we check the like the signatures in order. So we check the first one. After that, we check the second one, and after the first signature, we wrap it, actually the signature, and after that, we check the second one. So basically, it is not even possible to switch, like to change the order of signatures from our side, because it won't be accepted anyway. So we found a few, like one existing issue on Stacks network, which was created like a long time ago, 2 years ago, actually. And it was put to the icebox. So we just want to bring attention to this issue, because in this case, like if this issue still active, multi-signature transactions won't be like as powerful and won't be like used as a like real user experience to multi-sig wallet. So also I created one more issue in terms of like front-end calling. So and I attached both of them to the SIP proposal, the draft one, which we created as a pull request to the SIPs repo. So you can check that. And yeah, so we're just waiting for any feedback on that. And the second issue, that is probably the least one that we get. So it is just a few methods that we need to add to the wallet API. We already added it to the mutual documents that we got with the Hero and Explorers teams. So hopefully it will be accepted pretty soon. So we will be able to open just Explorers and Hero wallet models and just sign multi-signature transactions as we do now with the like single transactions. So basically, if we, I don't know, if we come to a conclusion that we are not able to implement or like fix this critical issue, we will go with the first approach with the smart contracts, and we will just, I don't know, integrate with the application subsequently. It will be much more complicated and much more, like much less user friendly, but it is what it is. So we started like, I don't know, pushing our SAP proposal, and we're waiting for any feedback on that. So if you guys have any questions, we're open to answer any of them. And by the way, we are also implementing the native Bitcoin Core multi-sig wallet, and we are also aiming to support ordinals and stuff. So yeah, but our main focus anyway is the Stacks ecosystem. So yeah, we're just focused on that. So
how about SBTC, because that will also be the big thing later this year.
Yeah, so we are considering that, but basically right now our main focuses are on multi-signature wallets, and after that we will just expand like in our direction. Maybe Viv can add something on that. Maybe if you're here.
So can I ask a very basic question? So
Yeah,
with
sure.
this smart contract wallet, do I still need Xverse or Hero account, like an in-browser wallet, or this has its own, this can create addresses and create seeds and addresses?
You can think of a Signa as like a Gnosis for Stacks and Bitcoin. Obviously, as Vlad mentioned, mainly focused on the Stacks ecosystem. But yes, you would log in through your existing mobile or extension wallet. So primarily, we're supporting Hero Wallet and Xverse to start. And in the future, obviously ledger support and hardware support that is already there for the Stacks ecosystem. But yeah, so you would need your own wallet to log in and create your multi-sig account, very similar to Gnosis.
Cool. I'll let anybody else who's got question ask. So if anybody else got questions, feel free to ask. I prepared a few questions as well.
Yeah, so I'll just put all the links that I got for today to the chat. If anyone wants to drop any comments, we would be really glad to receive any feedback. Yeah, so we've already put the request link.
So if I summarize it, so we log in with our X-Rays or Hero wallet, essentially it creates a Vault account, and that Vault has multiple people's names on it. And if you want to make any transaction from the funds in that Vault, then you require multiple signatures.
Yeah, so that's the main idea. So basically it can be created as not like multi-parties vault, but also like a mutual vault for like for confirmation threshold only equal to 1. So it's up to our users, but mostly, yeah, it's for like DAOs and stuff for them to manage their assets.
And how many people can sign? What's the maximum? Hello?
Probably I'm lost. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so I think
Okay.
you asked what's the max amount of signatories that can be on the wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
so
can be as many. I'm not sure, Vlad, if we have a default, but yeah, it can be customized however you want the threshold to be. So for instance, when you create, like a multi-sig wallet on any other chain, you can set, let's say, a 3 out of 5 rule. So, it would have to be all 3 signatories out of 5. And if you want to customize that threshold, you can go back and do a 3 out of 5 signature to, either add or remove, or even like change it to a 4 out of 5. But yeah, it's go ahead, Vlad.
Can it be like
yes.
100 or 1,000?
I don't think so, but probably it's not the case for the multi-sig wallet. But it's like you're probably talking about like voting system. So it's not like our target right now. But as we was saying, it is possible to change the confirmation threshold and the owners list only in the smart contract wallet, but in the native approach, it won't be possible, but still it won't be like too restricted. It will be still like more powerful than the smart contract approach.
Yeah, so it's more targeted at the sort of the funding team of the DAO, rather than say the DAO members, like say 1,000 in an NFT project. It will be more the core team, if you like. Maybe there are 5 or 10. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. So basically for DAO's members, there should be a separate like voting system or something, which anyway can be integrated to like any multi-sig wallet or anything.
I have a question too, actually. Looking at the screenshots or the video you were sharing earlier, it looks like all of the actions are done through wallet signatures, and then the final one submits the transaction on chain. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. So we utilized the like SIP proposal, which was created by Marvin, if I remember correctly. So it is about like signatures inside like smart contracts and like signature verification and stuff. So we used like off-chain signatures, And after that, we combine them in the contract. So basically, we added also to this logic nonce, which restricts those signatures to be used twice, and also which restricts like all signatures which were not used for a transaction to be used again, like, or to be used in the future. So yeah, something like that.
I think that's a really cool approach. You know, a lot of what we've seen so far, I think everything that happens in a smart contract transaction. So I think it's neat to see that implementation along with what was SIP 18, I think is the one you're referencing, which is the sign structure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we actually wanted to at first concentrate on this approach, but I personally think that implementation of this executor trade SIP will be too complicated for application developers, and it will slow down like our adoption of our multi-sig. So basically, the native approach seems to be better, and it actually will work similarly to this one in terms of like off-chain signatures. And after that, the like only one signature, only one transaction will be executed at the end.
Right, and I'm actually a huge fan of the native approach. I've been through the so you have in SIP 7 there are a few transactions that can be done on Bitcoin, and that's one way that multi-sig has been implemented up until now, is having a multi-sig wallet and having to craft these different transactions to make an action happen on the Bitcoin side. And I would love to see a native stacks multi-sig type thing too. So I've got a close eye on this one. Appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys have any feedback on our SIP proposal that we posted, our pull request, we would love to hear anything, because we also suggested like a few ideas under this SIP, and probably we can help on the implementation side if you guys think it is needed. So yeah, we're open to anything. No, I do hope that I'm not lost because my internet connection is so bad here.
Yeah, anybody else, feel free to ask any question. Maybe I'll throw a question at you then. So if I may share my screen quickly again. So just to sort of from reviewing the SIP perspective, so a few questions that we've come up like recently during the SIP editor sort of to sort of help SIP editor or SIP proposer getting the mindset about understanding like who does it impact, what sort of risks there are. So would you mind talking a little bit about like the stakeholders, who might this stakeholders be, who might be impacted by or benefited from this particular idea? Like, why should people care about this?
So basically, multi-sig is, yeah. So I was saying that the multi-sig feature is like a common thing for like most blockchains, especially like Ethereum and Ethereum-like networks, KVM compatible ones. So also on Bitcoin, it was implemented like a long time ago. So most people who care about security, who care about like managing their assets like as secure as it's possible, DAOs who want to own their assets with the like multi-parties, also like anything which won't be shared with anyone. It is like crucial to have a like multi-sig approach for that. But it's not enough to just have a wallet which can only like send NFTs and send tokens and receive them. but also it is important sometimes to be able to interact with other applications, to be able to stack those tokens like STX, to be able to like do more advanced stuff like sending payrolls. For example, imagine a company or a DAO which wants to pay salaries to their team members, and there are it's a pretty huge group of people. So probably that's why the multi-sig feature was initially implemented on Stacks. But in my opinion, and in our opinion, it should be a little bit finalized in terms of like this ordering flow to be like the in the most powerful form. So yeah, something like that. Yeah, just answering on the question. Yeah, sure. We saw the multi-safe XYZ approach, and they're just a smart contract wallet, which doesn't have a possibility to interact with other applications. So it is like pretty restricted in terms of like feature set. So we're aiming like a much higher functionality. So yeah, something like that.
Could you offer an example how like how you would interact with, say, Alex? Like, for example, you would execute a swap from a multi-sig. Like you need multiple people signing in order to execute swapping your treasury from, say, STX to a stablecoin.
Sure. So basically, at first, if it's a smart contract approach, it actually starts anyway the same. So you're just opening the application, connecting to it with your multi-sig wallet. It can be done through a browser extension or through an iframe, which could be injected to the web page. So after you're connected to the application with your multi-signature wallet, you can just utilize the same wallet API, which is used by Xforce and Hero Wallet. And after that, you receive the transaction and you transform it to the multi-signature transaction, to the like off-chain multi-signature transaction. But for that, for the smart contract approach, you either need to have a predefined executor smart contract, like a utility smart contract, which can be used for this type of interaction. Or you need to so the first approach is like external executor, and the second approach, you can just deploy a utility smart contract, like one-time smart contract, which can contain all the code needed for interacting with this application. But this is like kinda pricey in terms of gas fees. We discussed it on the last SIP call with Marvin, this approach, and it's too much in terms of like gas fees, and for it will be bad for Stacks ecosystem in the future, probably, because there will be like lots of smart contracts deployed, and it will like take much more gas, for each of them. And if we will have a lot of users, and we're aiming that, it will be not that good for Stacks.
Yeah.
So yeah, the second approach, the native approach, starts the same. So we're connecting our wallet, and after that, it is being sent to like our by like wallet API to our application, and it will be transformed to a multi-signature transaction, which will be just signed. It won't utilize any executor interfaces. It won't need to deploy any like one-time contracts. It will just need to sign this transaction and send it to like probably the second user, or like to other owners, which can sign it as well. And that's it. So it will be similar to any transaction within stacks for a native approach. That's why it is, in our opinion, much better and much more secure and much cheaper and all this stuff. So
cool. So if I understand correctly, multi-sig cannot connect to an app and cannot do a multi-signature transactions swap per se. Whereas yours is more advanced and it can connect to hopefully as many applications as possible and carry any action from those apps. That's the sort of the more advanced feature that you guys offer over multi-sig.
yeah, so basically our multi-signature wallet will be like a general purpose multi-signature wallet, which will allow to interact with any possible functionality within stacks, and it won't be restricted in any way. Yeah, that's the goal we want to achieve.
Amazing. If I just ask a few more questions. So who do you like, I don't know which stage you guys at now. Do you still need more input from others? Who do you need those input from?
We do need the input from the development team, mostly from the stacks development team, because it is something that should be done on the blockchain level in terms of like fixing a few functions on the Rust side. So that's why we're just highly encouraging to take a look at the SAP proposal we posted.
Do you know Jason or I don't know if Bryce is around, but would that mean it's a consensus breaking change or is it sort of outside?
Kinda. So it was actually labeled as a consensus breaking change before on the initial like issue which was posted like 2 years ago. So I think so. I do think so.
Yeah, I was thinking of that original issue as well, and I believe that implementation, or at least that thinking of it, it would be a consensus breaking change. But this is one that would be good to track, like as we're moving towards future hard forks or anything else. Like we'll have the Nakamoto release coming up eventually and everything too. I know that core developer time and things have been a bit crazy as we're going through SIPs 22, 23, and 24 and getting things up to speed. But I imagine that after those settle out and POX3 is in place, there should be some more bandwidth to start looking at what that would take. And also, you know, if anybody has any input or experience on the Rust side, if there is a different way we can approach the implementation, it might be good to look at it with fresh eyes as well. But from my original understanding of it, it was consensus breaking, yes.
So do you think we should, I don't know, drop our implementation for that, like make a pull request for the Rust side, like with our idea on how to implement it?
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, we definitely encourage community PRs as far as that goes. So if you guys have something on the Rust side that you've put together, I'd say first step is getting it into a PR against the Stacks blockchain repo, and then we can start having debates inline in that PR of like, is this the best way to do it? Will we change anything? Does it fit with the overall picture? But yeah, that'd be, if you have that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so yeah, so basically we do have it, and we wanted to start it, but we just didn't think that it is something that we can do. So yeah, we'll definitely start it.
Yeah, so one way you can think of this, really, the Stacks blockchain itself is completely decentralized. So we want these type of contributions. And there's that world between a SIP, which is like saying this is the standard, this is how we're gonna do things, to actually having an implementation that we can work with that sort of displays that standard and how it would work. So the fact that you guys have looked at the SIP side and decided that you wanted to do, and that you have some Rust code to throw in and say that would actually be the best way to move forward. And just to say overall, like, this is really supposed to be a permissionless system. And we have a lot of different entities and groups that are working around. And of course, you have your core developers and people more familiar, but just as Hero posted in the chat, anybody's welcome to make PRs to the blockchain. So if you have some code, please do submit it in and let's see what happens.
Yeah,
No,
I would
amazing.
add to that, like, we are very much very Bitcoin ethos group of people. So we are constantly thinking about how to decentralize the way anybody can contribute, like whether it's from a governance process or, you know, like inside, like whether it's SIP or not SIP related stuff. So these definitely, like, it's like Bitcoin, like anybody can make a PR to Bitcoin Core, you know, like, so you can advocate, and we offer this platform for you to advocate for your ideas and have the people sort of who are more knowledgeable to hear about your ideas.
Yeah, sounds good. So we'll drop our idea, which will be like implemented on Rust.
Yeah, and just to clarify something as well. So we don't have a core development team from one single company. You know, it's not like one entity that control this chain. So we have core developers from multiple different entities and all sort of working in some sort of decentralized fashion towards moving along the chain and upgrades together. It doesn't belong to one single place or group of people. And we want to decentralize that even more, like people like yourself, we love to have more of you, basically.
Got it. Thanks so much. Do you guys have any questions about the product or anything else?
Maybe I'll ask just for sort of due diligence. So is there any risk that you can think of about your implementation or any alternative? Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically, if we're talking about like both approaches, so the first one, which is like the smart contract approach, definitely has more risks in my opinion, because it has like a lot of risks in terms of like smart contract side. So it has to be like audited properly, and also executor trades can be used in a bad way probably. So it has another point of like of attack for potential malicious users. So on the other hand, the native approach seems to be more secure and like much better, but it should be of course tested and verified properly because it's a consensus breaking change. So yeah, before accepting it, it should be like verified like 100% that it's secure, and from this point it will be better than the smart contract approach.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just asking another question from sort of our SIP review, sort of impact assessment perspective. Sort of what percentage of network do you think will be impacted with this SIP?
That's a good idea. Probably we can drop some thoughts on that, but I think we should probably assess the amount of users who utilize multi-sig wallets on Bitcoin and Ethereum-like networks, and compare that, so it will be clear. But it's pretty complicated for me to estimate it. So I won't try to predict, but we will do it later, and yeah, we'll provide the stats.
Cool. And how can any community members support your SIP idea?
Probably I don't know, they can drop suggestions to our PR or support us inside our forum post. Or I don't know, drop ideas in terms of like technical implementation for that. Or maybe, I don't know, opposite thoughts would be helpful as well. Any critics or like whatever will be like really helpful. So we're open to anything basically.
Cool. And what are the next steps for you guys? Or you would like from the greater community, what can we do next to help you move along?
So the first thing that we need is smaller than the second one. So we need to get feedback from Xverse and Hero Wallet development teams on our proposal for the wallet API to add interaction, like methods for interaction with the multi-signature transactions. So the second thing is we need to prepare our own version for the multi-signature transaction, like this fix for ordering issue, and submit a PR, which will be attached to the initial SIP PR under the governance repo. So I think that's it.
Cool. And is there any date that you're sort of aiming to have this drafted, or like can your thing start working even without the SIP being approved, for example? Like what date are you aiming so that we can kind of know when, like how urgent it is, and we can sort of review it with everything else along with every other SIPs?
So actually it highly depends on the feedback which we'll get for our Rust code. So after that, we'll just decide when we need to move forward with it. So we can't move forward without this issue being fixed. And we also can't move forward without the wallet API additional methods like fixed as well. So basically we'll just push both problems like as hard as we can, and let's see how it goes. In the meantime, we'll prepare the Bitcoin infrastructure that we plan to do. So probably we will also deploy the first version, the first like smart contract approach, which we already implemented as well, which also has like a few applications integrated. So we'll probably do it as a first version if the second one gets like too long. So yeah, it depends actually.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll open the floor to anybody else who may have questions.
I have both a question / ID proposal. So with SIP 22 and 23, you know, a lot of things were proposed and we had to work quickly on those. The process for updating the SIP wasn't clear. Like I had to read through SIP 000 many times, and I still did some things incorrectly. I think we should spend some time trying to make it easy for other SIP editors who may be coming in blind to the process. You know, I had a lot of help, and you know, that's not always going to be the case for people who want to create a SIP. I don't know what that looks like, but just reading through SIP 000 was challenging, honestly. Particularly when I had to create an addendum to SIP 22 with changes that SIP 23 introduced. You know, I had to figure out that I wasn't able to change the text necessarily, but I could add a new section, you know, things like that. Then also changing the status and adding sign-offs. It wasn't exactly clear. I'm curious if anyone else has thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a few on that one too, because when we started out this process, a lot of the SIPs didn't move as quickly as these last two. So I think that kind of exposed some of those open questions. And I think that also some of the actions we're talking about, like moving between statuses, happened a little differently before because we didn't have the SIP editors and we didn't have such a robust group looking at everything. I mean, the cabs have expanded, and actually, shout out to Hero, because I know a lot of that started with you when we started these calls and stuff. So I proposed something, it's kind of tucked away in one of the closed PRs right now, but looking at the way things have been working, I think there's like a natural way we can implement this on the GitHub side. And I was talking to Hero a little about it. I don't know if it's something that would necessarily go into SIP 000, but I think it's more something we can define as like what we as these individual groups do. So you have your SIP editors are the first ones to review it to bring it into accepted status. So the thought there was that somebody from the SIP editor team should go ahead and submit the PR to change the status from draft to accepted. Following that, you would have the cab review. So whatever cabs are involved, the way we've been doing that so far is each cab would individually submit a PR with their meeting notes. Once all meeting notes are in and everything looks good, then somebody from the cab would need to submit a PR for the sign-offs. Right now, it looks like putting all those sign-offs in one PR is probably easier than having all of those be individual. And that seems to have worked well so far. And then once that sign off is complete, the cabs can move it to, I believe it would be recommended status. And then we'd expect a PR from the steering committee to move it to activation in progress, as well as to update the README that lists out the SIPs that are activation in progress. So thanks to what's gone on already, I think we have a procedure kind of forming. And the real question is like, where's going to be the best place to store that and to make that easier to understand for people in the future? I'm thinking within the considerations directory, but we can definitely jam on that, and I can drop a link to what I wrote up so far. We're trying to keep track of it.
Yeah, so a lot of what you said makes sense to me now, but I think it's still a bit confusing. You're talking about, you mentioned something, SIP editors. As someone who was editing the SIP, I thought I was a SIP editor, but that doesn't seem to be the case, right?
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
and
think
that's
maybe
what I mean with the
when we
confusion.
were, yeah, when we were maybe a little bit younger last year, I think that might have been the case. But
Yeah.
now
And
it's
that's
the
fine.
first time,
It's fine.
the group of people.
Yeah, I just want to
coming,
highlight
yeah.
that, there are some things that people coming in will be confused about. Like myself, I've been around for a while and it confused me. So I can only imagine what people who aren't that familiar coming in would experience.
Yeah, I think definitely
a-
I can do better with documentation stuff. Yeah, for sure.
As a proposal, because I was watching, what the SIP editors were actually doing after the SIP was, approved, I guess. It seems to me like just a simple Kanban board would be a perfect use case here for moving SIPs from different statuses and different sign-offs that are required through the process, versus like it's semi-manual that it is today.
You mean like some sort of checklist?
Sort of. I mean, Kanban just kind of automates that checklist. So, someone submits a SIP and then it is in a lane where people will start working on it. And then once it's accepted, then it moves to the next lane called accepted. And then people who change the status after it's accepted, pick it up, do the work, move to the next lane, on and on until it's fully ratified and closed.
What's that thing you said? Come on.
Kanban, yeah, it's a very common thing. You can do it right in GitHub.
Oh,
So essentially, you can just create a GitHub project and create a Kanban board.
That's
I
exactly
see.
what I was thinking. So what we have so far, and it's been a process that's evolving, but what we have so far are definitely some labels that exist that are being used sparingly. So that's one thing that could be brought up to date. And I like the idea of how that automates things too. So you'd have a project that basically tracks all the SIP statuses. When somebody first submits one, if it's accepted as a draft, you'd apply that draft label. It would show up in that column, and then you could move it between, which would automatically make some actions happen. Like it could update.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're done with it, it could close it out. And I think that's a great idea. You know, I think from here, we're just trying to find ways to make it easier.
Mhm.
And also to your point about editor, maybe reviewer, or, you know, so maybe there's another term we can use there, just because it's, I can see how that's confusing. Like, I wouldn't think of
Yeah.
myself as an editor, but we're
I
thinking.
mean, any term is fine. It's just coming in, you know, with
The-
not a lot of knowledge on the process. It was confusing, and the documentation I thought could have been better. You know, I'm not saying it's bad at all by any means. It's a process. We're doing the same thing on the Stacks blockchain repo ourselves. We're, you know, the past few weeks I've highlighted some deficiencies that we're going to be addressing. And it just made me, you know, look at things with more of an open mind as I was going through the SIP process. Just trying to figure out how things can be better, and then trying to apply it to different community members and what they may experience too.
Yeah, I think that's huge and appreciated. I mean, from my end and from where this repo like originally started, I see we're leaps and bounds ahead, but we still have a long way to go. And that's some cool little things we could do to make it easier for people overall, as well as just to make the messaging and the process itself clearer. So I'm on board with both of those ideas.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing up. We are time, so thank you, Vivian. So we got into a little bit about, because recently we had this emergency SIP, so we were just some paperwork stuff we were making improvements on right now. So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your idea about multi-sig, and thank you everybody for coming. I hope everybody got the links to their GitHub. I'll write some notes after this and post on Twitter. So please follow me, and you can see what the comments are, all the links to the multi-sig smart contract wallet. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. See you next week. Maybe there's a conference next week. I might postpone next meeting to the week after. So
We will be around.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I think so. Depending on what day it is.
The conference is from that conference week is the 16th.
The 16th,
So
yeah,
next
yes.
week we'll be around, Hero, but the
Okay.
week after
Okay.
that, might need
And it
to.
will be
Okay.
exciting time because we will be starting to prepare the 2.4 release
Okay.
around that same time. So
All
we'll
right.
have some cool things to talk about, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bitcoin MEV. So I'm looking forward to that one.